All right, good morning. I'm Christy Ellard. I'm in Gray Davis Elementary.
Hi, I'm Nicole Lund. I'm also a math coach at Meadow Lake Elementary School.
Good morning. My name is Felicia Douglas, and I am a math coach at Dodge Elementary.
Good morning. My name is Jasmine Stevens, and I'm also a math coach at Craighead Elementary.
Good morning. I am Dara Moss Knight, and I am a math coach at Collins Rose.
Good morning. My name is Phyllis Collins. I'm a math coach at Florence Howard Elementary School.
I just want to say that all of our elementary schools have ARI coaches. They're working towards building to having a math coach at every school. So if your school doesn't have one now, your school will be getting one over the next few years.
Okay, so we are going to be presenting to you some information about math this morning, and we wanted to welcome you all here today to be with us in order to learn some things about our curriculum. So in first quarter, we have various topics that we cover, and these are the ones that are listed in our pacing guide. We are going to actually focus on the hundreds, tens, and ones topic today. And the standard that we're going to be focusing on is standard 6. We are going to explain that the 3 digits of a 3-digit number represent amounts of hundreds, tens, and ones. We are also going to explain the following 3-digit numbers as special cases, like hundreds can be thought of as a bundle of 10 tens called 100, and that the numbers 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, and 900 refer to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 hundreds. So 0 tens and 0 ones. With this particular standard, we are saying that our students are able to use drawings and concrete models to show, oh, that's kind of hard to read, isn't it? To show 3-digit numbers. So we have some base 10 blocks on the screen here. It's kind of hard for you to see, but there is a cube of 100, a cube of 1,000, a flat of 100, 10 rods, and ones. All right, so the students will be able to represent numbers using a variety of models, explain the relationships among various representations and models of 3-digit numbers, understand that 3-digit numbers are made up of a variety of base 10 representations, and understand that 100 can be thought of as one group of 100, 10 groups of 10, or 100 ones. These are the student mathematical practices.
All right, so in our standards, we have these practices listed for students, and it's to get their engagement and to get them thinking about math. And teachers, we try to incorporate problems and opportunities for kids for these kinds of things to come out in the math. So we want them to make sense of problems. We want them to persevere, which is a hard thing for teachers because we want to be the helpers, but we've got to let them have that productive struggle. We want them to be able to reason abstractly and quantitatively. We want them to be able to construct viable arguments and critique the reasoning of others. We want them to show math with models. We want them to be able to use appropriate tools. We want them to attend to precision. We would like for them to look for and make use of structure, and also to look for and express regularity in their reasoning. In the particular task we're about to do, we're going to focus on trying to bring out reasoning and, at the bottom, express regularity in repeated reasoning. So now we have a task for you, and this is from their curriculum, and it's a Spark Your Learning. Spark Your Learnings take place at the beginning of a module, and when they do these, it's for the teacher to see what the students know. We want them to kind of struggle. We want to see what they already know about the math we're about to do. So in this particular problem, I think you have paper and pencil. So I'm going to read the problem to you, and we're actually going to do a 3-read procedure with the students, and we're going to talk about what the problem means. So the problem is, Max is setting up balloons for a party. He makes 14 bunches of balloons. There are 10 balloons in each bunch. How many balloons does Max have? Can one of you lovely parents tell me what the problem is about? Balloons. At a party. Balloons at a party. Okay. So, yes, ma'am? Yes, ma'am. I'm going to read it again. Because as we're going through these procedures, we're getting the kids to really think about the problem and what the problem is about before they even tackle the problem. Yes, ma'am. We want them to understand what they're doing. We're not finding out how many people are at a party, right? We want them to make sense of the problem. So I'm going to read it again. Max is setting up balloons for a party. He makes 14 bunches of balloons. There are 10 balloons in each bunch. How many balloons does Max have? So we answered the first one, what is the problem about? The second one, we can't see that rest of it, but is, what do each of the numbers describe? So what is the 14 in this problem? Bunches of balloons. Okay. What is a bunch? How something's grouped together, right? How something's grouped together. So is he holding balloons in opposite hands or like all one? All right, so we're going to read it again. Notice we haven't even asked the kids to solve anything yet, right? We're just talking about it. We want them to understand the problem. Because when they do math in the real world, it's all in context. They're not just doing addition and subtraction just for the fun of it, right? There's some sort of context to it. Max is setting up balloons for a party. He makes 14 bunches of balloons. There are 10 balloons in each bunch. How many balloons does Max have? So what math questions could we be asking about this problem? What are some things that we could be thinking about? Ma'am? How many balloons are there? How many groups? Nice. Those are the things we would talk to the students about. And now I'm going to ask you with your pencil and paper to represent this problem. And some of us will be coming around just looking at your drawings. A model, yes ma'am. We want you to model it. We want you to model it. We were hoping to have base 10 blocks, but we were told there probably would be way too many people. So you can represent it. We represent base 10, a 10 rod with a line. You may draw one's blocks. How would you represent this problem to find out how many balloons it has? That's why we're here, right? That's why we're here. So think about it. What are we being asked to do? What are we asking the students to find out? Right? So how would we represent that? How could you represent that on paper? Okay, so that's not a second grade. Like, we're not going to multiply in second grade. So we want them to show us a visual model. So go back, Ms. Lund, can you go back to the previous slide where it showed the ones and the tens? Or we can click on the virtual. We can pull it up here on the virtual board. I'm going to let Ms. Lund navigate that for us. There you go. So that could be what they see and know as a 10, a 10 rod. So if you were representing, how many bunches are there? 14. Okay, yes ma'am, you can. And then how are you going to figure out what your total is? I'm just asking you and walking away. So, would anybody like to share their strategy that they used? Yes, ma'am. Would you like the microphone so they can hear your beautiful voice?
Yes, okay, great. My strategy, ours was very similar, but my strategy was my brain works with breaking things down in a problem as it says. So when it said group 14, what did it say, 14 groups of 10, so I went ahead and did 10, I did 14, 10, what's that called, blocks of frame, 10 rods. Went ahead and did 14 10 rods, and because we know that even with kids, if you go ahead and group, 10 rods is 100. So you got that out the way. You already know this is 100, so don't get confused trying to count and then miscount and get the whole problem wrong. I have to tell my kids that all the time, like, you miscount, you get the whole. So you already grouped your 10, we know that's 100, then it's easy to just count those 4 10 rods, and that's 40. So I grouped mine. My friend, she went a little advanced. She did multiplication to get hers, but we know second graders don't, so she went and we did 10. She just counted by tens. So same way, you got the same answer.
And second graders would probably be skip counting, which we know is the precursor to multiplication. They're just not putting the label multiplication to that yet. Anybody have a different strategy they'd be willing to share with us? Because this is how we would do it in the classroom, getting them to share their strategies. Anybody else brave? Yes, ma'am. We want to hear the children's thinking. Going back to those practice standards, we want them to listen to others and be able to see if that student's strategy is reasonable, and maybe they did something I didn't think about, and maybe their strategy is better for me, and I'll try that next time. We always want to have things with multiple entry points where there's not just one way to do things until they get to those procedures later on. Because even with addition and subtraction, that algorithm that we knew and grew up with is not introduced until 4th grade. Because we are building for understanding. And not just because you do it this way, because we want our children to be flexible thinkers and have lots of different representations to connect to and see it lots of different ways. Yes, ma'am. And honestly, with this problem, we want to see how you're grouping them. If you grouped 100 or not, is what our ultimate goal is with this task. So we're going to go on to and show, we have a slide with some different strategies that we would look at and talk to the students about, and it's always best to pull up their work and let them talk about it. Because kids learn so much from each other, and it's hard to see, but a lot of you did this right here. That is exactly her strategy right there, and you did it too, ma'am, back there. 100 and then 4 tens, which was 40. So they have 104 tens, which was 140. We could be looking for a student who may do that. It's still correct. It does take too long, and you're more than likely going to make mistakes. So we know as teachers, our goal is to get them to do 10 rods in second grade. So we know how to move that student. But there's also some misconceptions that may happen that we're looking for. And just some things they could do, like if they did not do 14 tens, we might talk to the students about what they could circle to come up with a number to get 100 that might make it easy, and then look at the remaining tens outside. Remember, one of our practice standards was attending to precision. So this is one of the things they might have just did a quick draw. But these are things we talk about with students because they have to apply a lot of their knowledge. And sometimes they're going to be given a question like this and say, what did the student do incorrectly? And they have to identify that that student didn't have enough tens, enough bunches. It's not always, like Ms. Felicia said back there, it's not always about the answer, it's about the strategy, especially in these type of problems that we're working on daily in the classroom. All right? Is it back to you?
Okay, so we are going to share some things that you can do with your students at home to help them with math. So I know it's really difficult to see, but some of the key points here were to be involved in your kids' homework, making sure that you understand what they're supposed to be learning in the classroom so you can reinforce that at home is always helpful. Being positive and supportive. You know, we didn't learn that the same way back in the day whenever we were in school. We didn't learn it the same way, so we have to be able to be supportive and with the teacher and say, okay, well, I know they're teaching it to you this way, so let me see if I can help you with that. Set a timer, making sure that you are completing those assignments at home with your students so that they can be successful in the classroom. Making it a routine sometimes is helpful, getting them moving, encouraging them to count and do some various things at home. Library time, so you can take them to the library and maybe you can find some math books that are perfect for at-home reading. You can play various games with your students. There are items that up at the top that you can have at home to help your students with math, and those are things like dice, playing cards, measuring tapes, just some various things. And then you can do some math talks at home, so you can ask your child about about the time, like what time is it. You can ask them to count some money, and it's kind of hard to see, but some multiplication or division facts, you can do some things with them with that, and playing some other games at home. We also have some resources for you that you can find in your bag. So earlier they had you take out that one book that was about, what was it called? I can't remember. Yes, the Conquering Second Grade book. I was looking in that earlier. I had not seen that book before, but there are so many great things in that book for you to look at and work on with things with your student at home. You also can access this family guide at the amsti.org website. And we are going to give you a list of these Mobile County standards by the quarter. So in first quarter, it has all grade levels on there, so you can take a peek for all of your students. And then there are different websites up there that I have listed that you can work with your students at home. Yes?
If you have that manipulative kit that was sent home last year with your first grader, there was take home with lots of manipulatives. You should have most manipulatives that you could still utilize in second grade. Those were really nice last year, and if you didn't get it, I'm so sorry, but they were really fabulous. I was amazed. I was like, we wanted to keep some at school, but we were not allowed to. So we hope we shared a little bit with you about your students' thinking. Hands-on manipulatives or drawing are just fabulous ways to see what your students know, and I encourage you more than just the correct answer to ask them why they solved it the way they did. It's all about how they solved it and lots of context, like word problems if you're in the grocery store or you're at, the park. How many steps did it take you to reach the end of the balance beam or whatever? Or how many times did you swing? Or count by twos when you're swinging on the swing. All of that is very much needed for your students to prepare them for third grade. All right, thank you so much. Gail, do you have anything to add, Miss Gail? Anything from you? You're good? Yes. And if you have any questions, you can contact your child's school and their brand new teacher that you're about to find out who it is, I guess. Thank you.